Peggy Kemp.
Anna Kemp.
John Kemp.
Nathan Kemp.
Hope Kemp.
Robbie Coleman. Kathy Daly.
My name is Priscilla Eby. Today is December 3rd, 2014, and I'm here today to give my persuasive speech for Miss Lancaster's Speech 107 class. The siege had been underway for more than 200 days. Supplies of food and fodder had dwindled and rations had grown shorter and shorter. The population of the little town and the beleaguered garrison had been reduced to boiling horse skins to extract a little nourishment, as all other supplies had been exhausted. Their fearless leader had ingeniously held off the enemy far longer than anyone had expected through the use of clever strategies and complicated bluffs. Among the strategies developed by the colonel in charge was a plan to use boys as messengers and orderlies. These boys took the place of grown men who were then freed up to fight on the front lines. When at last the siege of Mappin came to an end on May 17, 1900, the tide of the war in South Africa was turned and the Boers were defeated. These were the experiences of Lord Baden-Powell, the commanding officer of the troops during the siege, as he tells in his book, Indian Memories. My purpose tonight is to talk to you about the need for scouting, and more specifically, venturing in today's society. I've been a leader with the Boy Scouts of America now for 13 years. I've served on every level of scouting. I've been on district committees, and I even served as a paraprofessional in the Bruton area for 2 years. During my time with Boy Scouts, I've come to believe that venturing is the best thing to happen for teens since the invention of pizza. What began as the scouting movement founded by Lord Baden-Powell has grown to include the Boy Scouts, which also includes Cub Scouts, and venturing. Statistics prove that scouting encourages higher achievement and leadership skills in today's youth. Tonight, we will discuss how that applies to today's youth, and you in particular. So how did I just make the leap from talking about a war in South Africa to talking about scouts? Well, I'll tell you. When Baden-Powell returned to London after the war, he discovered that there were many boys idle in the streets. He thought back to those boys who had been such a great boon to his garrison while in Africa. During an interview with Listener magazine in 1932, in which he discussed the boys in Africa, he said, "We then made the discovery that boys, when trusted and relied on, were just as capable and reliable as men." This discovery led to the formation of what we now know as scouting. The scouting movement grew rapidly, and it soon crossed the pond to become the Boy Scouts of America, also known as the BSA. Out of the initial scouting program for boys grew the addition of Cub Scouts for younger boys, and eventually Exploring, which gave birth to the Venturing program. Baden-Powell's model for character building through scouting has been wildly successful. There have been 104 million Boy Scouts in the U.S. since 1910, and more than 40,000 merit badges have been earned, according to Statistics Brain Research Institute. But you may ask, does scouting really make a difference among today's youth? According to the National Center for Education Statistics, up to 60% of schools report violence and crime taking place during school hours. And in 2013, about 1 in 5 did not graduate high school with their peers. This is in stark contrast to findings among scouts. According to a study by Baylor University, Eagle Scouts, which is scouting's highest rank, are around 76% more likely than non-scouts to have held leadership positions in the local community. As you can see in this chart, provided by the Statistics Brain Research Institute, Boy Scouts are more likely to be involved in leadership during high school. But how does this relate to my topic of venturing in particular? Well, venturing is a program designed with older youth in mind. That is why this program has a membership made up of young women ages 14 through 21. We see here that youth in venturing, the ages of youth in venturing is shown on this slide from the U.S. Scouting Service Project. The venturing program is built on the values and traditions of Boy Scouts, with the main focus being high adventure, leadership, and community service. Venturing is also youth-led and youth run. This means that the youth are the ones making the decisions and running the show. Through these activities, they are developing character and leadership traits that they will use throughout the rest of their lives. So how does being a venturer make a difference? At almost every scouting event, you will see venturers there leading the way. You will see them teaching younger scouts, or leading a religious service, or maybe even sweeping the dining hall. You will also see them in the community, teaching disabled children at summer camp, organizing a blood drive on their college campus, or wherever you see venturers, you will see leadership in action. My own venturers of Crew 400 in Pace, Florida, have participated in many high-adventure activities. One of their favorite activities is our annual trip to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, for Winterfest, which is a gathering of youth from all over the Southeast. My kids have also been a key part of the summer camp program for our council and are vital trainers at trainings and workshops hosted by the council each year. As adults, they are working for engineering firms and the American Red Cross, owning their own companies, or working as city activity directors. Nationwide, a study by Harris Interactive reveals that 91% of men who were scouts for 5 or more years completed high school, compared with 87% of youth who were never scouts. Also, youth involved in Boy Scouts are more than 10% likely to make straight A's than youth who've never been involved in Scouts at all. The news is not good for youth who do not complete high school. According to Statistic Brain Research Institute, 75% of the crimes committed in the U.S. are committed by high school dropouts. Also, 90% of the jobs available to high school graduates are not available to high school dropouts. As I reach the end of my discussion with you today, let's discuss what all of this may mean to you personally. The Scouting movement was founded by Lord Baden-Powell, and the movement grew to include Boy Scouts of America here at home. For over 100 years, Scouting has been providing a model of character building in youth. We've seen the statistics that point to higher achievement and leadership skills in today's Scouts, and we've discussed where Scouting can take them in the future. Now, what can you do? Are you willing to do something to combat these grim statistics that I mentioned earlier? Would you be willing to spend an hour a week guiding and encouraging the members of a venturing crew to achieve their goals? Would you be willing to suffer through high-adventure activities and action-packed campouts? You have it within your power to make a difference in the lives of the youth around you. If there's a venturing crew near you, jump in and volunteer. If there is not a venturing crew near you, make the commitment today to help found one in your area. I can personally get you on the road to including venturing in your life or in the life of the youth that you care about. Think back again to that siege in Mafeking. Surviving that ordeal took a great deal of ingenuity and cleverness. Baden-Powell chose to make a difference in the world around him when he returned to London. You may think that choosing to not get involved in something like venturing for today's youth is inconsequential, but choosing to do nothing is a choice in itself that can have long-reaching consequences. Don't be one of those people standing on the sidelines complaining about today's youth. Jump in today and make a difference.